Good morning, everyone. And bug is life. A very good morning. Good morning, Ruby. Today is Women's Day. We are having Women's Day segment, Women's Day special. Hi, Shraddha. Hello, everyone. A big shout out to all the lovely ladies. A big shout out to all the men who respect women, honor them, encourage them. Hi, Ayan. Hey, Harsh. Happy Women's Day to all of you. Hi, Varun. Guess what? Today is going to be a long day at Bug, and it's going to be really exciting. We're going to have some special 8 women joining in. And today in the first segment, we are opening the segment with a lady of wisdom. Let me see who all are there in the morning to join. Make people join. Tell everybody to join. Tell our team to join. So everyone is ready? Hi Ruby, happy Mahashivratri. Yes, today is a Friday, early morning. It's Women's Day, it's Mahashivratri. There are too many things happening today. Okay, let's open the segment today with none other than our guest, Nameeta Premkumar. She's founder director of Film Bug, and there are a few things that I would really want our audience to know about her. She's been there as a creative producer and produced a lot of music albums as well as directed music videos for clients like Sony, Saregama, Asha, and she's worked with artists like Asha Bhosle, Lata Mangeshkar, Bhupen Hazarika, Shan, and Preetham. Corporate clients, you won't believe it, she's worked with all the who's who. Edifies, MTV, Times of India, India Today, UNICEF. Yes, this is the lady who is epitome of 2 words, philanthropy and education. Let's get her on board. Good morning, Nameeta.
Good morning. How are you?
Wish you a very happy Women's Day.
The same to you and all the lovely and wonderful women across the world. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here and initiating this wonderful talk today morning, which is also a very auspicious day of Mahashivratri. And thank you for allowing me to applaud and celebrate the many women across.
We feel so delighted to start the segment with a guest like you, Nameeta. You've
Thank
got
you so
2 decades of experience. This is really lovely to have you on board.
Thank you. It's an honor for me too, and all of you are doing wonderful work. I think it's great that you're having this initiative, not just to support women, but also many enterprises across the world that are trying to, make a start somewhere and pushing out people who don't have the wherewithal to start, especially in a country like ours. It's wonderful that on this day you're celebrating women. Thank you so much.
So Nameeta, our audience would like to know that at Film Bug, what do you do? So we are Bug Naari and you are Film Bug. So where did
the 2 bugs?
Yes.
The filmy Kida. I think the filmy Kida bit me many years ago. And actually through my career, I've worked with several people in the film industry. I studied film actually in New York, and also studied media, social media studies. And I think therein there was this germ to always, of course, make films and make the money and, do all those things that you need to do. But I think there was always a bit of giving back and doing something for the larger good, because I often felt that if I was privileged enough to have an education like I did, and really use that to do something, for the greater good. And that's when the germ really started, the bug really came in, of trying to use this skill, to reach out to a larger number of people, or a larger number of young adults that really don't have the ability. And that's really the origin of Film Bug. And it was mainly to allow children and young adults to use the power of cinema in a nation that is so crazy about cinema, but to use it in a way that is meaningful and possibly create social change. And when I went out, and me and a small team of people who really wanted to also make a difference joined me in that initiative. We traversed across India, going to communities which were very, very marginalized, where really didn't even have a square meal to eat, and realized that there was so much of potential to dream and to, make a difference. And we particularly chose those communities where we wanted to make that impact, because of course lots of people are doing things, making impacts, but we really wanted to go to places which were very, very marginalized, and realize that when we gave them that camera, so what Filmbug really does is teaches them how to write a film and how to sort of take it from scripting to storyboarding to actually shooting a film. And we don't compromise. We give them the best of the cameras, the best of the lights. We teach them like how I learned film in New York, or writing in Final Draft. And then they actually made films, and their films were so powerful, whether it was the kids from the Musahar community in Bihar, or the rag picking girls from Odisha, or the brickyard children, the children working in the brickyards in Kolhapur, or kids from an orphanage in Kangra who had never even watched a film. But when they actually used that to make a film, it was not just about the making the film, right? It was about giving them this power of a camera in hand and saying lights, camera, action. And that just did something in their brain. And it realized that, my God, I can do this too. And then therein the snowball effect happened, where they went on to make films that were meaningful. We sent those films to a few festivals, they got celebrated. And then, I'm happy to say a lot of those children have actually used the initiative to find a voice. A lot of our students who we've taught are now actually in production houses. Some of them are working on social initiatives. Some of them are actually doing things like building toilets, having screenings of these films to create a difference across villages. And I think that really, for me, was something that I didn't foresee. But I think when you take something and you do it with passion, you do it with determination, and you kind of just put it out there, then it will reap results if there is integrity, and if there is sincerity in what you do, right? And it could be something really, really small. And that's what I really want to say today, that for all the women that possibly at times feel helpless or feel I can't do it, I think it's just the ability to use that innate energy that we all are blessed with, to kind of just go and do that small thing and then just believe in it with conviction. And I truly believe it will work if you have that conviction.
So it's really wonderful to know that people, kids, youngsters, they have wishes, desires, aspirations. But there are women like you with your kind of foundation who are reaching out to people, actually making them realize that seeing a lens and understanding a concept there and then doing the storytelling, you're actually giving them that power. That's really amazing.
Yeah,
Do you also train them end to end?
Yes. So the thing is, you can't really do this sitting in your home, right? I mean, I realize that there are so many dime a dozen film schools that teach you filmmaking, but very few people actually go out into the field and do it. And that was really what the intention was, to go and be with the community, to eat with them, to breathe with them, to sleep with them, to laugh with them, to cry with them, and that is really when the power of true storytelling emerges. Like I remember we taught a beautiful, bright young group of girls in Haryana, in a very remote village that pretty much all the girls in that particular orphanage were either had gone through sexual abuse or had been through very, very difficult times, and they were not more than 11 or 12, and some of them up to the age of 18. Very, very difficult stories to hear for me personally as well. When I went there, it was not a very easy experience. But then when, we sat down, worked with them, heard their stories, laughed with them, cried with them, and then they actually went on to make their stories, you realize that, what the struggles they go through are extremely intense and dark. But if you can find that ray of hope, you can really bring a difference in their lives. And that's what happened. They made this beautiful film called Q, which we premiered at our festival, where we showcase these films every year. And that film got a standing ovation. And these girls were almost, they felt like they had a new lease of life, because they felt, my God, we never even thought we could take our story, which is so dark, but they made it so beautiful and so simple, and they took it to the world. And I think that is really the power of cinema.
The power of cinema, the power of content. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today's audience is actually growing by the age.
Absolutely.
Keep in mind that digitally people are available with a tiny box of 6.9 inches, which you hold.
Exactly.
They give impressions and they accept what's going on.
And that is important. Yeah, to understand. And that's what we teach these young adults, or people, that there is a lot of power in that phone or that video that you take, so use it with responsibility and use it wisely, because in today's day of Instagram and forwards and WhatsApps, and not understanding how to discern really fact from fake, you have that power to make content that can be funny, it can be meaningful, it can be whatever content you make, but it must be responsible and it must give the right message.
Exactly. So one is when you start your career in a stint, you're working for yourself, and the other is when with your work you impact somebody's life.
Right.
You bring about a change. And cinematic experience can be literally a voyage where you can bring about all these things, all these new chapters to life.
Correct.
People can really engage with that. So Nameeta, our second segment is talking about women at work and women at life. Can you engage and let us know that, give us a short brief about the kind of person you are. You're a single mom. Let the audience know who you are exactly.
So I've always I've grown up in a family of very, very strong women. I think I've always looked up to the women in my family, whether it was my grandmother, my aunts, my own mother. They've always been very strong women. My grandmother got married at a very, very early age and was widowed extremely early in life, but had 5 children to raise. And she actually grew up in a very remote village sort of a setup, but in a palace, because she came from the then royal family. And she took the decision at that time to move to a city to educate her children. And the image I have of her is always this lady in white, but she drove a car. She taught me how to play badminton. She taught all of us how to cook. She educated all her children, sent them to the finest schools. And I think from there, I've always emulated her. So if you ask me who inspires me, it is my grandmother, because to come at that time and day and age to break all those norms of stereotypes, and to do, in fact, she used to come to the club where we used to go to learn badminton. She would be dressed up in her white sari with her white sneakers and teach us how to play badminton. So I've always grown up looking up at women like that. My mother herself was a teacher. She she taught English literature. She was so all of us have grown up in that environment of very strong women, and very happy women. So there's been struggles in life and all of that, but I've generally been a very happy person. I've been I don't ever look at life with hardships. I just see them as little bumps, speed breakers that you kind of have to navigate through. But I always look at opportunity and try to convert them into something meaningful. And I don't think in my life I've ever complained. And I think that also came from my mother, who actually, she went through a very difficult bout of cancer. But through it all, I think she was very, very positive. And she would make everybody from the nurses to the doctors laugh and never show anybody, what she was going through. And I think that's what I've imbibed from her, that humor, um, you can take life seriously, but not so seriously,
Correct.
And I think that's how I've always dealt with things that have come my way. And yes, of course, I'm a single parent. My daughter I have raised with all the values that I have learned. She's a beautiful daughter. She's a beautiful girl. She's a great singer. She has, I think, all the values that I've tried to imbibe, that I have learned. And hopefully she'll go on to become a strong woman who will make an impact in the world.
You very rightly mentioned that the environment in which we grow, the kind of personalities which resonate with us and they're around, is from where the foundation is built. And there's a very good golden nugget that came out of what you were mentioning right now, is that irrespective of how life is and we live our life, there are going to be positives, negatives, but they are just roadblocks and bumps which you take over positively. So that's something really interesting that I've understood from you. One thing, because you're coming from cinema experience, there are long hours, you go to towns, you go to villages and all these kind of places. Let me understand, a lady like you who's at her second decade, given so many years of experience, what is it like to balance work and life at home? Is it tough?
So it's I wouldn't say it's tough, but it is a skill, because it is about what you choose to do in life, right? I mean, you can really stress yourself out and say that, oh my God, I need to do things in this way, only then will it be right. Or you can just be slightly, I think women by and large put too much pressure on themselves to kind of fit into a certain norm, which I think we are a victim of. Like, I must be the best housewife, I must be the best, I must be the best in everything. And sometimes, it's all about balancing and finding that fine balance between, what is needed in life. And I think that comes with experiencing life. It comes with making mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. I mean, I've made so many mistakes in my life, but it's okay. You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself. It's all about, I think it's about how you balance it. And I think the way I've done it is, honestly, if you really ask me, is just to be happy. And my dad always says, like, you need, at the end of the day, you need to just be happy in what you do.
Yeah,
And that is the
what you're doing.
most important.
Yes.
The moment you find something is making you unhappy, it's okay, just leave it. I am sure something else will come along. But if you go on being in that unhappy situation and complaining about it and saying, no, this is not working, this is it, it's never going to change, because then you're becoming part of that narrative. You know? So you have to change it. I mean, in fact, I was reading somewhere the other day that the Oxford Dictionary has introduced the word Naari Shakti, into as a Hindi word for the first time. And really, what does it mean? It means to take charge of your life, really, if you look at the exact meaning of what it is. And I think that's what women should do, really take charge of their own lives. Even if you're a homemaker, I think being a homemaker is one of the most difficult things to do, because you're balancing out. It is. I mean, I have so much respect for women who are homemakers, because you're balancing out so many things, especially women living in joint families. You're balancing out, a lot of things. So, but if you take charge of your life, and if you know what is, what needs energies, what doesn't need energies, you balance it out and keep yourself happy, then everybody around you will be happy.
Being a happy soul is so necessary that through all the life works that you're doing, it gets more easier every now and then. Yeah.
Much easier, because everybody has a tendency to overanalyze or overthink stuff, but it's not going to do anybody any good. You're only going to internalize it. Instead, I would say, use that time, use that energy to maybe do something different or do something positive. And in fact, Film Bug grew from that, at a time when there was COVID and things were not working out, or, it just happened like that. I just said, instead of just sitting around and, figuring out, why don't I sort of do something just to make a difference? And that's really how it happened. I sort of connected with an old friend who was from the Vatsalya Foundation, and she said, Nameeta, why don't you just come by and teach children? And I said, okay, I'd love to do it in my spare time. And I went, and that's exactly how it grew. So never say no to opportunity that comes your way. That's something I've always done in life. I've always, grabbed opportunity. I've always, if something comes my way, I just take it on and I say, let's just deal with it, whatever it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how many people do you have in Filmbug? How many students?
So we are actually, we're a lean team. So initially we were about 3 or 4 people, but it really works on a volunteer model. It's sort of whoever wants to volunteer. And now the really amazing part is a lot of the talent that we discovered in Filmbug are also now young adults who want to kind of join the whole movement and, spread knowledge. And the whole idea is to train these young adults who do have the interest in cinema or filmmaking, and today, honestly, like, film is everywhere. It's in every town, in every corner. You have news channels, you have little productions. So I always tell them that even becoming, a light boy, or like, there are girls who are so interested in continuity or script writing. It's not difficult to just to go out and seek that, and just earn a small amount of money, which is actually very big for them, and it can support their families. So a lot of children have been doing that. A lot of children want to come forward and now help to teach and learn and become that next rung of leaders, and become the next sort of strength to Filmbug and also in their communities, right?
Right, that's true. Okay, so we're coming to a fun segment. I would like to know certain things about you.
Sure.
Nameeta at work has been a very strict professional, or she's been a fun-loving?
No. So I currently, actually, I'm a director at the Museum of Solutions, which is a wonderful, wonderful enterprise and initiative started by Tanvi Jindal, who's actually the founder of this beautiful space in Mumbai city. And the reason I really aligned and resonated with it is because it is really a path-breaking initiative which provides a forum to young change makers across the city. It's an inclusive space. It's a beautiful space. So, a lot of people can come here, engage in exhibits, play, learn, and have fun. And I think a lot of people on the team are women. And, I work with very many young designers, researchers, all women, some of them, of course, men, and I think as a team, it's a lovely team. But I think as a person who I work with, I don't even use the term boss. I hate the term boss, or I hate, I don't think I've ever been that person. I think every job or work environment is a collaboration. And I always tell my team that I am who I am because you all make me look good, and because you guys make me look good, I can tomorrow, I also become a better leader. So I don't believe in this whole boss and I'm your boss. So I really don't. I think that is the reason I aligned with the Museum of Solutions. And even in all the other work I've done, I've never really had that connotation or tried to impose that on anybody. I think I believe that I'm an easy person to work with.
No, you rightly mentioned that when you have collaborative culture, then it's very easy to make team members also work with you well, and they respect you at the same time, and they open up really fast. So the tasks and all assignments are done very faster.
Exactly.
Okay. Is there any idol that you follow, a woman lady?
I would say I did my grandmother, but I don't know if there's I read a lot about women in history, or I get very charged up when I read about women in history, etc., and what women have done. So lots and lots of women, who one has read about. And if you like, right from Rani of Jhansi to Savitri Bai Phule, to you read about these women in history, but somewhere as you grow older, you realize that, oh my God, all these women we studied, Dr. Annie Besant, Helen Keller, all these women, suddenly you start feeling like, oh my God, these were all women who did it at a time which was very, very different, and I mean, if we can be even 1% of them,
and whether it's quite ahead of their time.
Very ahead of their time, right? And lots and lots of people things to learn from, and get inspired by. I think there are many women across my years of reading and getting to know their stories that have inspired me, or their
Right.
journeys that have inspired me. I wouldn't say one particular woman, but I would say they're the journeys of several women that I have read or been inspired with really inspire me to say that, oh my God, even if I can do 1% of what they're doing, it would be great.
And any personality trait that you would want to pass down to your generation with your daughter that you have ingrained?
I think resilience and integrity, very, very important. I think integrity and honesty and the resilience to face. I mean, life is going to have challenges. There are going to be little speed bumps, and it's all about how you navigate them. And I think that comes through resilience, which I really think that I have learned from my mother, my grandmother, all of that. And I really want to pass that on to my daughter, because it's a different time. It's a different generation. It's a different time. The challenges are new. It's also something that, as an older parent, I'm not very familiar with. And I always tell her that you are sort of, once you get through your schooling years, you're on your own pretty much, right? I mean, there is no business in that sense to fall back on, or I'm not somebody who comes from a family that is I said, so you have to make it on your own, and you have to have that resilience from now, and that grit and determination to make it on your own. And I will be there to support you, to hold your hand. But I think that is important. And I think integrity and honesty at a day and age where there is so much of I don't know, there is so much of hearsay. There's with social media, with Instagram, with WhatsApps, with there's so much of
Distraction. Too many
distraction.
psychological developing.
Absolutely. And young adults,
It's a young mind.
exactly. And also, like, it's also very powerful, right? Instagram, WhatsApp, these are tools that you can use for social change. You can use it for the better, instead of using it for something that is not and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I think is the most important.
Yes, and you're doing that with Film Bug. This is
Yes,
really wonderful.
hopefully.
Every storytelling has got some change to happen and something good to happen. So
Yes.
we've seen a lot of people. We commercialize with the content. We promote a lot of brands, but at the same time, there is another side of it where there are filmmakers like you who are coming up with this kind of a business, and it's wonderful. There's so much choice for people to come up with content like this and get associated with women like you. Wonderful. Nameeta, it was really exciting to have you as a guest here.
Thank you
In
so
the
much.
end, I want a very small request with you. Every person, every individual, whenever they are experiencing a happy moment, they have some movement of theirs. Okay, so I have a movement when I achieve something, I go like this. Yay! I
Oh
did it.
God!
Good. So what do you do when you
I don't
got
know.
the right email, the right client calling you, you got the right film which has got the international festival award? What do you do?
I don't know if I have a movement, but I often do that.
You often do that, right? Yes, I like it. So guys, at Bug Naari, we opened the segment with a very interesting lady, Nameeta Nameeta Premkumar, and here we go once again. Thank you to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
See you.
you.
Bug salute to you.
Yeah.